May 3rd, 2007, a night that shattered the lives of one family and left the world asking questions that remain unanswered to this day. In a picturesque holiday resort, a little girl disappeared without a trace, sparking an international search and the most publicized missing persons case in modern history. She was just 3 years old, her life full of innocence and promise. But that night, Madeleine McCann vanished into the darkness. Was it a kidnapping, a tragic accident, or something far more sinister? What really happened to Madeleine McCann? For over 16 years, this question has haunted investigators, the media, and millions of people around the globe. Tonight, we piece together the evidence, examine the suspects, and uncover shocking revelations that could change everything you thought you knew about this case. Welcome to CrimeByte, the channel where we explore the darkest corners of true crime and uncover the stories that captivate the world. From chilling cold cases to the most notorious mysteries in history, we bring you the details that leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. If you're intrigued by the untold truths and the unsettling secrets hidden behind the headlines, you've come to the right place. Make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Tonight, we examine one of the most haunting cases of our time, the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. This isn't just a story about a missing child. It's a web of contradictions, theories, and unanswered questions that continues to baffle the world. It was May 3rd, 2007, a warm, breezy evening in the Algarve region of Portugal. Praia da Luz, a charming coastal village, was a haven for tourists, offering serene beaches, quaint cafes, and a sense of safety that felt unshakable. For Kate and Jerry McCann, it was a perfect escape from the pressures of life back home in the UK. They arrived at the Ocean Club Resort with their 3 young children, Madeleine, nearly 4 years old, and her 2-year-old twin siblings. This was a family holiday designed to create cherished memories. The children spent their days playing by the pool and running along the As the sun set that evening, casting a warm orange glow over the resort, the McCanns prepared for another night of relaxation. Kate and Jerry had settled into a routine. Once their children were asleep, they would meet their friends, affectionately referred to as the Tapas 7, for dinner at the resort's tapas restaurant. At around 8:30 p.m., Kate and Jerry tucked their children into bed. Madeleine, wearing pink and white Eeyore pajamas, lay in a bed near the window. Her siblings slept soundly in their cots. The McCanns left the apartment's sliding glass doors unlocked, confident in the resort's security. From their table at the restaurant, the McCanns could partially see the front of their apartment, a detail that reassured them. With their friends, they enjoyed conversation and laughter, taking turns to check on their sleeping children at regular intervals. At 9:05 p.m., Jerry walked the short distance back to 5A. Entering through the unlocked patio doors, he stepped into the dimly lit apartment. All seemed quiet. He glanced into the children's bedroom, where Madeleine and the twins appeared undisturbed. Satisfied, he returned to the restaurant. Over the next hour, the group's routine continued uninterrupted. Other parents in the group made similar checks on their children. The atmosphere at the table remained lighthearted, the conversation flowing as the group enjoyed their evening. But at 10 p.m., the unthinkable happened. Kate entered through the same sliding doors, the familiar scene of the apartment greeting her. But as she stepped into the children's bedroom, something was wrong. Madeleine's bed was empty. The window, which had been closed earlier, was now wide open. Kate's heart pounded as she called out, "Madeleine?" But the room was silent. Panic spread like wildfire. Jerry and the other parents rushed to the apartment, their disbelief turning to fear as they confirmed Kate's horrifying discovery. The group searched every corner of the apartment, hoping desperately that Madeleine had wandered off. But there was no sign of her. The tranquil atmosphere of Praia da Luz was shattered. The McCanns' shouts echoed through the resort, their desperation palpable as the minutes stretched into hours. As dawn approached, the reality became undeniable. Madeleine McCann had vanished. The news of Madeleine's disappearance spread quickly, sparking an international media frenzy. Reporters descended upon Praia da Luz, their cameras capturing the heartache etched on Kate and Jerry's faces as they pleaded for their daughter's safe return. For the McCann family, The peaceful holiday they had dreamed of had turned into a living nightmare. As search efforts intensified, questions began to emerge. Who could have taken Madeleine? Could someone have been watching the family, waiting for the right moment to strike? The hours immediately following Madeleine McCann's disappearance were critical, yet fraught with confusion and missteps. Local police were notified shortly after midnight, and their initial reaction reflected the disbelief of a community unaccustomed to such crimes. In Praia da Luz, a quiet coastal village known for its safety, the idea of a child being abducted seemed implausible. As officers arrived at the scene, they treated it more as a case of a missing child who had wandered off, rather than a potential abduction. This mindset would shape the early investigation, setting the stage for controversies that would later haunt the case. The open bedroom window quickly became a focal point. Kate and Jerry McCann insisted that it had been shut earlier in the evening, making it a possible entry or exit point for an intruder. Yet the window yielded no fingerprints, no signs of forced entry, and no concrete evidence to support the theory of an abduction. As officers combed through the apartment, the potential for valuable evidence to be uncovered diminished with each passing moment. During the initial search, resort staff, guests, and members of the McCann's group had moved freely through the apartment and surrounding areas. Footprints, fingerprints, and other critical traces that could have been left by an intruder were likely trampled or contaminated. As daylight broke over Praia da Luz, witnesses began to come forward with accounts that added to the growing confusion. One of the most notable was from Jane Tanner, a member of the McCann's dinner group. Tanner reported that around 9:15 p.m., she had seen a man walking hurriedly down the street near apartment 5A, carrying a small child in his arms. Tanner described the man as tall and slim, wearing casual clothing, and the child as being wrapped in a light-colored blanket. At the time, Tanner didn't think much of the sighting, assuming it was a parent carrying their own child. It wasn't until later, after learning of Madeleine's disappearance, that she realized the significance of what she had seen. But Tanner's report was not immediately prioritized by the police. In the chaotic early hours of the investigation, the details of her account were lost amidst the flurry of activity. When officers finally began piecing together a timeline, conflicting accounts and gaps in information made it difficult to determine the exact sequence of events. The lack of urgency in the investigation soon became a point of contention. The apartment, which should have been sealed off as a crime scene, remained accessible to staff and guests for hours. Officers failed to secure critical areas, allowing potential evidence to be inadvertently destroyed. Meanwhile, the McCann's behavior came under scrutiny. Why had they left their young children unattended while dining? Kate and Jerry's composure in public interviews was misinterpreted by some as indifference, fueling rumors and speculation. As the days turned into weeks, the focus of the investigation began to shift. Doubts about the intruder theory emerged, particularly in light of the lack of forensic evidence. The open window, once considered a clear sign of forced entry, was now viewed with skepticism. Could it have been staged? And if so, by whom? Adding to the complexity was the revelation that Jane Tanner's sighting was not the only report of suspicious activity near the resort that night. Other witnesses claimed to have seen individuals loitering near the McCann's apartment in the days leading up to May 3rd. Despite these reports, no suspects were immediately identified and no arrests were made. The investigation seemed to be spiraling, with leads being pursued and abandoned in rapid succession. The initial investigation into Madeleine McCann's disappearance was marked by missed opportunities and unanswered questions. From the contaminated crime scene to the overlooked eyewitness accounts, the early hours of the case laid a foundation of doubt and controversy. As days turned to weeks, the search for Madeleine McCann became an international obsession. The lack of concrete evidence only deepened the mystery, giving rise to a host of theories and suspects. Was Madeleine abducted by a stranger, taken by someone she knew, or had something else entirely happened? One of the earliest suspects emerged from Jane Tanner's sighting of a man carrying a child near the McCann's apartment on the night of May 3rd. Her description painted the image of a tall man with dark hair, dressed in casual clothes, walking briskly away from the scene. The media dubbed him the Tanner Man, and for years, he was thought to be a crucial lead. But in 2013, a shocking revelation unraveled this theory. Investigators identified the man as a tourist carrying his own child home from the resort's childcare center. This revelation left the investigation back at square one, forcing authorities to revisit other suspects and theories. As the investigation progressed, the spotlight shifted in an unsettling direction toward Madeleine's own parents. Kate and Jerry's decision to leave their children unattended while dining just meters away drew widespread criticism. Portuguese police began to question their version of events, particularly after cadaver dogs were brought into the investigation. The dogs alerted to the scent of human decomposition in the trunk of the car the McCanns rented weeks after Madeleine's disappearance. Traces of DNA were also found, raising further suspicions. However, forensic analysis later revealed that the DNA evidence was inconclusive and could not definitively link the McCanns to any wrongdoing. Despite the mounting scrutiny, the McCanns were never formally charged, and many believed they were unfairly targeted by an investigation desperate for answers. The couple used the media frenzy to launch an international campaign to find Madeleine, raising millions of pounds and enlisting private investigators. Were Kate and Jerry McCann innocent parents caught in a nightmare, or were they hiding a terrible secret? One of the most enduring theories is that Madeleine was abducted by a stranger, someone who had been watching the family, waiting for the right moment to strike. Praia da Luz was a popular tourist destination, but had also seen a rise in petty crimes and burglaries in the months leading up to Madeleine's disappearance. Some witnesses reported seeing suspicious individuals loitering near the McCann's apartment in the days before May 3rd. One such report described a man with pockmarked skin, dressed in scruffy clothes, acting nervously near the complex. This man was never identified, and his connection to the case remains unproven. Could Madeleine have been the victim of a carefully planned abduction? Or was this yet another lead that would go cold? Another chilling possibility is that Madeleine was taken by a human trafficking ring. Experts have pointed out that young, blonde children are often targeted by traffickers due to their high demand in certain illicit markets. Praia da Luz's proximity to international shipping routes and the porous borders of Europe made this theory plausible. Interpol and private investigators have both explored this theory extensively, but no definitive evidence has ever emerged to support it. Still, the possibility that Madeleine could be alive, trapped in a world of darkness, haunts those who continue to search for her. As the years stretched on with no definitive answers, the case of Madeleine McCann became a breeding ground for speculation, theories, and conspiracies. Some were rooted in evidence, while others seemed to spiral into the realm of fantasy. What was real, and what was merely a desperate attempt to fill the void left by unanswered questions? In 2020, over a decade after Madeleine's disappearance, a breakthrough emerged, or so it seemed. German authorities announced that they had identified a new suspect, Christian Brückner, a convicted pedophile with a history of violent crimes. Brückner had been living in Portugal at the time of Madeleine's disappearance, just a short drive from the Ocean Club resort. Phone records placed him near the scene on the night she vanished, and his known criminal activities aligned disturbingly with the profile of a potential abductor. Investigators claim to have concrete evidence linking Brückner to Madeleine's case, but they have yet to disclose what this evidence entails. For many, this revelation brought renewed hope, but for others, it raised more questions than answers. If Christian Brückner was responsible, why hasn't he been charged? And if not him, then who? Some theorists argue that the truth about Madeleine's disappearance is far more sinister, that it involves a high-level cover-up. According to this theory, powerful individuals may have been involved in Madeleine's abduction, using their influence to divert attention and bury the truth. This idea gained traction due to the intense media coverage, the high-profile nature of the case, and the apparent mishandling of the investigation. Critics have pointed to inconsistencies in official statements, the lack of transparency from law enforcement, and the sudden disappearance of key evidence as potential signs of a larger conspiracy. Could the answers to Madeleine's disappearance lie in secrets too dangerous to uncover? Or is this theory nothing more than a desperate attempt to explain the inexplicable? One of the simplest yet most heartbreaking theories is that Madeleine's disappearance was the result of a tragic accident. Some believe that Madeleine may have woken up, wandered out of the apartment in search of her parents, and met with an unforeseen fate. This theory suggests that her disappearance could have been misinterpreted as an abduction, leading to a massive investigation that overlooked the most obvious explanation. Yet, without evidence to support this idea, it remains another unanswered question in a case filled with uncertainty. While theories and speculation kept Madeleine's story in the spotlight, they also took a toll on her family. The McCanns became the subject of intense scrutiny, with every word and action dissected by the media and the public. For some, the focus shifted from finding Madeleine to assigning blame. But as the case grew colder, the enduring mystery of what really happened to her only deepened. In the years since Madeleine McCann's disappearance, the advancements in forensic technology and investigative techniques have breathed new life into the search for answers. But could these tools finally solve a case that has eluded resolution for over 16 years? One of the most promising avenues for solving Madeleine's case lies in the realm of DNA analysis. At the time of her disappearance, DNA testing was far less sophisticated than it is today. Investigators collected samples from the McCann's apartment, rental car, and other locations of interest, but much of the evidence was deemed inconclusive. Recent advancements in genetic genealogy have cracked cases that were cold for decades. By comparing DNA from crime scenes to public databases, investigators have identified suspects in notorious cases like the Golden State Killer. Could the same technology hold the key to finding Madeleine or uncovering what happened to her? However, critics point out a significant obstacle: the potential contamination of evidence during the chaotic initial hours of the search. Could this mishandling of the scene have compromised the very clues needed to solve the mystery? Artificial intelligence has become a powerful tool in modern investigations. In Madeleine's case, AI has been used to enhance grainy surveillance footage, analyze patterns in witness statements, and even predict possible scenarios based on available evidence. One of the most compelling uses of AI has been in age progression technology. By analyzing photos of Madeleine as a child, experts have created lifelike images of what she might look like today. These images have been distributed globally in the hopes of triggering recognition. But while technology offers hope, it also raises questions. Could reliance on AI and digital forensics lead to false conclusions? Or could these tools finally bring closure to one of the most infamous cases in modern history? From the moment Madeleine went missing, the search for her has spanned continents. Portuguese authorities initially led the investigation, but it soon became a joint effort involving British police, Interpol, and private investigators hired by the McCann family. In 2011, the UK launched Operation Grange, a multi-million-pound review of the case led by Scotland Yard. Over the years, the operation has generated hundreds of leads and identified dozens of persons of interest, but none have led to Madeleine's recovery. Despite the setbacks, the global effort to find Madeleine continues. Her case remains one of the most high-profile missing persons investigations in history, a testament to the determination of those seeking justice. Over the years, new witnesses have come forward, offering information that could shed light on what happened that night. Some claim to have seen suspicious activity near the McCann's apartment, while others have reported hearing conversations or seeing unfamiliar vehicles in the area. One particularly intriguing account came from a tourist who claimed to have seen a man watching the McCann's apartment in the days leading up to Madeleine's disappearance. But as promising as these new leads may seem, they are often met with skepticism. After so many years, how reliable can eyewitness accounts be? Could these late revelations help solve the mystery, or are they simply distractions? Despite the tireless efforts of law enforcement, private investigators, and concerned citizens, the mystery of Madeleine McCann's disappearance remains unsolved. Each revelation seems to offer hope, only to lead to more questions. Could the answers lie in new technology, forgotten evidence, or a witness who has yet to come forward? Or is this a mystery destined to remain unsolved? Madeleine McCann's disappearance did more than captivate the world. It changed how we view child abduction, crime investigations, and the role of the media in high-profile cases. 16 years after that fateful night, her case has left an indelible mark on society. For Kate and Jerry McCann, the years following Madeleine's disappearance have been a relentless battle. Accusations, public scrutiny, and the constant search for answers have taken their toll on the couple. While their campaign to find Madeleine has brought global awareness, it has also exposed them to criticism and conspiracy theories. The McCanns' determination to keep Madeleine's case in the public eye has inspired countless families facing similar tragedies. They established the Madeleine Fund, which supports efforts to find her and raise awareness of missing children worldwide. But the shadow of their daughter's disappearance continues to hang over them. How does a family move forward when the question of what happened remains unanswered? Few cases in modern history have garnered the level of media attention that Madeleine McCann's disappearance has. From the moment she went missing, journalists from around the world descended on Praia da Luz, turning the quiet resort into a global spectacle. The intense coverage brought unprecedented attention to Madeleine's case, but also raised questions about the ethics of media sensationalism. Did the constant scrutiny help the investigation, or did it distort the truth? The media's portrayal of Kate and Jerry McCann was particularly polarizing. While some saw them as grieving parents, others painted them as potential suspects, fueling public speculation and conspiracy theories. This dual narrative created a media circus that at times overshadowed the search for Madeleine. How did the media's portrayal of the McCann case shape public perception? And did it bring us closer to the truth, or push it further away? In the digital age, Madeleine's case became a focal point for citizen detectives. Armchair investigators combed through every detail, speculating on suspects, analyzing evidence, and even attempting to debunk official theories. While some online efforts brought attention to overlooked details, others veered into harmful territory. False accusations, harassment, and the spread of misinformation plagued the McCanns and those connected to the case. The rise of social media has ensured that Madeleine's story remains in the public consciousness, but it has also blurred the line between constructive investigation and baseless speculation. Madeleine's disappearance highlighted the need for international cooperation in missing children's cases. Organizations like Interpol and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children have used her case as a catalyst to improve global response efforts. The McCann family's tireless advocacy has raised awareness about the importance of rapid response, media coverage, and public involvement in finding missing children. Programs like Amber Alerts and global missing children databases have been strengthened in part due to the lessons learned from Madeleine's case. Could Madeleine's case be the turning point that saves future children? As time passes, the mystery of Madeleine McCann's disappearance only deepens. Each new revelation seems to answer one question while raising another. Was Madeleine taken by a stranger, sold into trafficking, or hidden away by someone close to the family? Or is the truth something even more unexpected? Madeleine McCann's disappearance is more than a mystery. It's a mirror reflecting our deepest fears, hopes, and flaws. It reminds us how fragile safety can be and how quickly normalcy can shatter. As we reflect on the past 16 years, one thing remains clear. This case has changed the world, even as it continues to evade resolution. The search for Madeleine has taught us about resilience, of a family, of law enforcement, and of a global community unwilling to give up. It has shown us the power of collective action, but also the dangers of rushing to judgment and the harm caused by baseless accusations. The advancements in technology and the lessons learned from this case have shaped how future disappearances will be handled. Madeleine's story has inspired change, but it has also left a haunting legacy. Through the heartbreak and unanswered questions, one thing has remained constant: the hope that Madeleine might one day be found. Whether alive or not, her story deserves closure, not just for her family, but for everyone who has followed this case with bated breath. Kate and Jerry McCann have often said that their greatest fear is not knowing. As the years pass, they continue to advocate, to search, and to hope. The story of Madeleine McCann reminds us of the power of vigilance, empathy, and action. While this case remains unsolved, countless others still await resolution. There are families searching for their loved ones, just as the McCanns are searching for Madeleine. What can you do to help? Stay informed. Share information about missing persons cases. support organizations dedicated to finding the lost and protecting the vulnerable. Together, we can honor Madeleine's memory by ensuring that no child is forgotten. Thank you for joining us in exploring this haunting case. If you found this documentary insightful, subscribe to CrimeByte for more gripping investigations. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. It's your engagement that helps keep these stories alive. What do you think happened to Madeleine McCann? Share your thoughts below, and let's continue the conversation.